So the BSB kicked off its engagement with a series on tech at the bar, and there was a lovely launch event around technology and innovation in May this year. And actually, the BSB had initiated the first study on legal research specifically at the bar. So, Kathryn, as part of that initiative, we'd really like to take the opportunity to ask you for your views and opinions on AI and the opportunities and challenges that it raises for the bar specifically. But before we go into details, can I ask you, bigger picture, how do you see AI? Is it friend or foe?
That's a really good question, Ruth. Thank you for that. So start with the easy ones, why not? Actually, I'm very much in the friend camp. Like all friendships, I think we have to take time to get to understand each other, to nurture the friendship and to work hard at the friendship. And AI is something that we're all having to get used to. I've been involved in some incredible work using AI, and I've been involved with working with an ethics panel for a very large police force, and they've been using AI as a way of detecting criminals who sadly create and distribute child sexual abuse material on the dark web. And these police officers have been using AI in ways that we don't even want to think about, very successfully to bring these people to justice. And in my view, that these police officers step into the sewer so we don't have to, and we owe them an enormous debt of gratitude for the work that they're doing, which harnesses AI. I've also been aware of some work in medical research, which has been using AI to design proteins, which is incredible, and it's cut years off the research phase of developing medicines. So AI is very definitely our friend if we develop the relationship and work hard to make sure the relationship is properly balanced.
So moving on to tech at the bar specifically, the profession's changed a lot from the olden days of Rumple of the Bailey. Chambers vary enormously in size, so some are very innovative in terms of their management structure, and we've even got one virtual set. But having said that, there are still some very small chambers. So the research that the Bar Standards Board carried out looked at some of the differences between solicitors' firms and chambers where barristers are individuals. Can you talk a little bit about some of the challenges and opportunities that chambers face?
Yeah, I think it's really important to start with innovation. And many chambers have been enormously innovative in the way that they, for example, hold virtual conferencing, and they can hold conferences around the world with clients from the chambers, from one address, or even from home during COVID. And I think many chambers were really creative in their use of technology to make that happen. And that happened very quickly in many other professions and organisations during COVID. And I think the bar has been very quick to take that up. I think some of the challenges are for smaller chambers, for smaller sets, who perhaps don't have the access or the resources to promote greater use of technology. And of course, barristers are self-employed, so that their working model is different from, say, solicitors' firms, who are able to pool resources much more readily. So there are challenges and there are opportunities. But as I said earlier, if we lean into the use of technology and the use of AI as friend, not foe, then that's going to bring further opportunities to chambers to work more effectively and more efficiently.
Can we talk a little bit about how the Bar Standards Board has been collaborating with the profession to help in this area?
Well, contrary to what you might have heard and what listeners might have heard, the Bar Standards Board is very keen on collaboration with the barrister profession. And there are so many things that we agree on. For example, we are absolute advocates of the cab rank rule. We're absolute advocates of the rule of law and access to justice. And we have been collaborating in a number of ways to promote the use of technology at the bar. For example, we've set up a working group with the Bar Council, and that's a very positive, constructive step. It brings together the representative body and the regulator so that we have both sides of the profession informing the work and informing the development of technology and the use of technology at the bar. We've been collaborating with other stakeholders, for example, training providers, and we've been collaborating with the virtual sets to see what we can do to learn from them and from their experience about how we can harness technology at the bar. So collaboration is a really important part of the development of technology at the bar, and I'm sure that our Tech at the Bar research will be extended and revisited to show just what developments have been made in that space.
Thank you. It's great to hear about all that collaboration. Kathryn, I'd like to delve into what Tech at the Bar can offer from a number of perspectives, and I'd like to start with consumers.
Okay, well, I think first of all we need to think about what we mean by a consumer. Do we mean the solicitor who's instructing the barrister? Do we mean the ultimate client? Do we mean the person at the bus stop? And I think all of those groups could rightly and reasonably expect barristers to make the most effective use of technology to ensure that the work that they provide, the advice that they give, or the way in which they advocate for their client in court is the most effective, is the most efficient, so that the barrister's professional judgment is the thing that they are paying for, rather than hours and hours and hours and hours of research. I'm confident that AI can be harnessed to do that. So I think that consumers, however defined, have a reasonable right to expect that technology will be used in the most appropriate way to make sure that barristers are making the most effective use of their time.
Next, looking at the barrister profession, you mentioned in a recent speech that you don't think AI will ever deliver the barrister's professional judgments, but you think it can take out some of the drudgery and the background research for some of the casework. So can you talk a little bit about that and how you see that evolving? And let's start off with taking away the actual casey judgments.
Well, I think that it's really important that we promote, maintain and respect the real kind of intellectual depth and rigour that barristers bring to judgments, to decision making, to advice that's given to clients. And I don't think, this is a personal view, perhaps a controversial view for some, that I don't think that technology, AI, could ever replace those very careful, skilled, knowledgeable, experienced judgments, decisions, advocacy. What AI, what technology can do is, as I said earlier, take out the drudgery of the research, the finding of footnotes, the finding of previous case history, which will free up the barristers to focus on how they use their intellectual distinction in order to promote the more nuanced and subtle aspects of an argument or of a litigation point or of an advocacy point. So the short answer is I don't think that technology will ever replace barristers' judgments or decision making, but it really can help remove some of the drudgery and inform some of the research.
That's a really helpful distinction. So Kathryn, looking at chambers themselves, technology offers efficiency gains and streamlining, but do you see a potential for market expansion opportunity?
I certainly do. And if we think about where we are at the moment, UK PLC is supported by about a 50 billion contribution from legal service as a whole into our country, into our economy. So there's a huge market there already. Many barristers have international offices, and if we think about the number of people who bring their cases to England and Wales, to the Bar of England and Wales, to the courts here for litigation, for advice, there's a huge international market. Why do people come here? Because they have absolute faith in the standards that are set and maintained in the barrister profession, and they have absolute faith in the ethical, the moral compass of the bar and the way in which the judiciary work in a highly ethical, highly moral way. And that's something that we, as the Bar Standards Board and the barrister profession, are rightly incredibly proud of. Is there a market for expansion? Yes, of course there is. And the ways in which we use technology to promote an international perspective. There are no barriers. The world is one big marketplace now. So I think we need to make sure that we support, as the regulator, opportunities to promote growth, to promote expansion, to promote opportunity. Regulation is not an opportunity for choking off growth. We should be using regulation as a positive force for good to promote market expansion. Again, that's just a very personal view, Ruth, but I'm hopeful that many members of the bar will agree with that.
Well, I'm aligned with your view. I do see regulation supporting economic growth, and I think it's great to hear that the legal services market is worth 50 billion. And of course, all of these professionals pay tax in the UK as well. So that's fantastic.
Absolutely.
Let's wrap up with your perspective on how the BSB is helping with AI adoption and how that can support the evolution and growth of the profession.
Okay, so let's go back to the first question. Is AI friend or foe? And you heard me say it's very much a friend. We develop the relationship, we work hard at the friendship, and we at the Bar Standards Board support the barrister profession to use technology intentionally, safely, and effectively. And those are the three main things that we need to do. And I think that's the job of a regulator, is to act as an enabler rather than a brake, to put some guardrails in place, to put some guidelines in place, but ultimately to support development, to support innovation where that can happen, and support those chambers who are already leading the way, and support the other maybe smaller sets who don't have the resources to act in a way that is intentional, safe and effective for them and the size of their chambers. So I really, really hope that we can continue to work collaboratively, not only with the profession, but with the representative body, because change is coming and we have to lean into it. We have to be part of it. And for me, it's something that's really exciting and such a creative development for the barrister profession. And I look forward to watching the development of it from the sidelines.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts today. It's fantastic to hear about the level of collaboration and also the growth potential in terms of the profession and its use of AI. So thank you again.
Thank you, Ruth.